let's get to the part where many of you might be saying, well, that's all fair and good, but I am terrified of public speaking. My legs tremble. My palms sweat. My voice quivers. My throat gets choked up. How do I deal with nerves? Now, fess up. We all get nervous, right? All of us. All of us. Even the people who've been on television for a gazillion years. As a matter of fact, I have clients who actually are on television, but when it comes time for them to do a face-to-face presentation, they choke up because the little lens on the camera is just the one-eyed beast. It doesn't smile, it doesn't judge, it doesn't talk back to you. It's just a little lens. But seeing your expressions and your response to me as a speaker is a totally different dimension. So it's curious that even people who are on network television every day are shaken, are out of their comfort zone when it comes time to talk as we're talking today. So it's totally natural. And it actually has a name, and it's called glossophobia. It's a clinical name that has to do with extreme anxiety in social environments and performance anxiety. Okay, so it's I love the name because nobody knows what it is. Glossophobia. You know, it's fear of. It's used mostly today as fear of public speaking. Okay, so it is not the number one fear of people. And it's always said, oh, what are the top 5 fears that people have in the world? Public speaking is not it. You know, it's you know, you have a goat shepherd in Tibet. The goat shepherd in Tibet isn't going to say that public speaking is my number one fear, right? Death is the number one fear. It's what you know. What do they say? There's only 2 things that are for sure: it's taxes and death. Yeah, death. We're born and we die, right? And every human being has that in common. So forget about the public speaking is a fear. I think somebody came up with that who wanted to sell books about public speaking. And still it goes around as being the number one fear. Yes, many people, if you join a Toastmasters, you know, people go because they stammer or their voices may fail them, but it's still a big fear. But what I'm trying to say is we all have it, and there's ways of getting around it, and it's perfectly natural. As a matter of fact, I encourage you to think about how, you know, you can use it to your advantage. Use it to your advantage. I like to think about the butterflies in my stomach, if I were to have them, and I don't today, is a way to energize me. It's like percolating. It's, you know, when we all do sports of some type or another, you know how you get your heart rate going, right? You get your blood pumping, right? You get your lungs breathing fully. It's got getting ready to take that sprint. It's an energizing sensation. It should not be a limiting sensation. I like to use the analogy of take the butterflies that are going over like this, get them to fly in formation. Get them to fly in the direction that you want them to fly. So use this to your advantage. So energy is the opposite of fear. When you think about what you're feeling as energizing as opposed to fearful or fear-provoking, it's totally different. It just changes your perspective, right? It makes something good, whereas it could be, you know, a barrier. Tame the butterflies. Prepare early. What is the best way to prevent a bad experience in anything you do? If you don't prepare, you prepare for anything. Record and video yourself. That's always a very, very useful thing. If you have a particular business purpose and you want to improve and continually improve the work you do in presenting, record yourself. Record yourself with an iPhone. Record your voice. Record your voice and listen to it. Most people, remarkably, do not like to hear the sound of their own voice.
Enough to get a voice in the shower.
Well, okay, but what's about the shower? The shower's safe, right? The shower's safe. There's nobody there, but you and the water. And it is tremendously powerful because you'll pick up things that you may not have heard. You can't hear yourself. You have to hear yourself retroactively. And then you'll be able to then start to make improvements and maybe pause and emphasize some words better. But it's remarkably, and everybody has a wonderful recording device right in your pocket or your purse. Okay? Don't memorize. Do not memorize. Own it. Know it. In here. In here, in your heart, and up here. Know it. You don't have to, again, we're not reading, but know your stuff. You have to know what you're talking about. Right? Fundamental. Visualize your success. See yourself as being successful. See yourself as either the success in the context of what you're trying to do, or I sometimes teach my clients, visualize that day of joy, that perfect bliss, the day your first child was born, the day that you graduated college, the day you got married, those days of pure bliss, that extraordinary vacation. Think about those moments. They do help our bodies prepare for optimal delivery if we visualize success. The mind is the most powerful tool we have, and if we can visualize that, then we can achieve it. Breathe deeply. Breathe deeply. We tend to breathe more shallow when we're nervous. Shallow meaning right just from here. You need to breathe from your diaphragm. You need to really take a full breath, really full breath, and let it out slowly. Open your lungs, because naturally our bodies will tighten, and the diaphragm muscle tends to tighten as well. And meditate. I'm not saying meditate, doing ohms and doing complex things. The meditation could be simply meditating on that you're here now, that you're visualizing your success, that you're grateful for the opportunity to share your knowledge, right? Or you can meditate a flower. You can meditate a song. Just change your frequency before, excuse me? You can pray. You can pray. You can whatever form it takes. But it's putting your mind and the frequency in a different channel to prepare you for what you need to do. Okay? Eat a light breakfast or light meal beforehand, meaning don't go on an empty stomach. How many people hear somebody saying, "Oh, that was my stomach. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." You can hear the stomach saying, "I need food," right? Or similarly, don't eat too much. Then you're going to feel bloated and you're going to feel a little bit sluggish, right? Avoid, of course, things that are salty, that are spicy, that stick in your teeth, that will they require energy to process. Make it simple, make it light, make it nutritious, right? Avoid carbonated beverages. It's very important. Avoid things that have gas. Makes you burp. Avoid cold things, maybe just a warm water, warm tea. It helps to open up and relax your vocal cords. Let's see, nothing that's cheesy, that's gooey. That's things that are light and clear, and room temperature or warm are even better. And drink plenty of water. Plenty of water before, during, and after. Make sense? Okay. So here's more. And this is something that goes to the next level of presentation mastery. Vocal exercises. We're talking about singing in the shower. The singing opens up your vocal cords, and it is an exercise for your voice. So when you're singing, for example, there's people who were cured of their stuttering and stammering because they sang. And then maybe you've seen some of these individuals who are wonderful singers, but when they speak, they tend to stumble. But when they sing, they just soar, right? So singing is good for us. It opens up our voices, and it also emotionally is a good release. So sing. Now, there's, of course, you can do vocal exercises that are, that are taught by professionals, but you don't need to get involved in that. But singing, I find, is a good shortcut to really exercising your voice and getting it ready for presentations. There's another sort of a misguided belief that if you look at your audience naked, that will be relaxing. But don't do that. Don't do that. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. You know why it doesn't work? Particularly why it annoys me when you say, oh, see your audience naked, see your audience exposed. Because I'm disrespecting you. Why should I see you naked? I'm seeing you as whole, as professionals, as vital contributors and part of the communication loop. I can't talk if you're not listening. And so if I'm disrespecting you by seeing you in a funny way, that's not healthy. So anyone who says, oh, just see them naked. No, make eye contact with your people. Make eye contact. Span the room. Start with the back row. Move to the front. Make sure that you're making eyeball-to-eyeball contact as much as possible with the people you're talking to. Smile. Smile is the most beautiful thing you can do. Just smile. Pause periodically. Smile for to acknowledge. Smile to basically make a point. Smile when you forgot what you wanted to say. Pause. Smile. So it's an effective tool. Warm up by meeting few people before the meeting, like I did. To say what brings you here, what's the nature of your business, tell you a bit about me, and it warms up the room, right? Sugar, coffee, alcohol, no alcohol, no alcohol. Pitbull has a story that he tells. Our own, Mr. 305, Mr. Worldwide, Christian. He tells a story of his development as a world-class performer, and he tells a story about that he was so successful singing on stage, but then as his fame grew, he was being asked to be a keynote at a conference, to be outside of his role as an entertainer, to tell his story, to tell his life story. And he was so nervous. He was so nervous backstage. He had, unos palitos. He had a few, whatever it was, and he had a few drinks. And then he realized when he got in front of the audience that he was totally plastered, totally unprepared, totally rattled and unraveled, and unable to deliver on what he had to do. And he was so embarrassed, so chagrined, so disappointed in himself that, of course, failure is our biggest teacher, right? That then he learned what he needed to do. But he tells that story very vividly. And I think it's a poignant story, particularly coming from someone who we know and admire and who's very, very famous worldwide. Pauses, slow down, take that time in between, make the eye contact. Don't just rattle like a machine. Know your equipment. Know how to work your devices. Know how to work your computer. Know how to work the projector. Because invariably, something will go wrong. Something will go wrong. I mean, suddenly it could be that, it goes black. What happened? Call the tech guy. If I know my equipment and I've rehearsed my equipment, then a lesson that these things will happen, right? Get to the presentation site early. Know where the plugs, extension cords are. Let your humanness show. Let your mistakes show. Be real. Be relatable. And this is very important. Don't try to be funny unless you really are. Right? People who try to be funny, but they're not. Then there are those who are blessed, and they just are funny. They just are. Everything they say and they do, they're just funny. And tastefully funny. But you can't, if you don't have it, don't force it to happen. It's not necessary. It's what people think will make something memorable. Oh, he was so funny. But you know what happens when someone's funny sometimes? You ask the person, what did you learn today? What was your takeaway? Gee, I don't know, but he was funny. Right? Sometimes the funny will take the place of comprehension. Right? So use it if you got it and it's genuine and it comes naturally and if it works towards your purpose.